it.
Hello, hello. I'm so excited. Oh, I hear an echo. I don't know why. Do you guys hear an echo on my end?
I heard
did.
like a car.
Yeah, it sounded like a car, but it wasn't from here.
The car is on my side because I live near a road.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, welcome back to another Facebook and YouTube Live with Mr. J Speaks, Goddess Cinzia, Bella, and Breezy. So,
Hi, everybody.
hello. Hi. How was everybody's Easter week? Yeah. How was everybody's week and everything, or Easter Sunday? I don't know. Do you guys celebrate Easter?
Yeah, we did. It was quiet. Very quiet.
Yeah, I went fishing.
You what?
I said I went fishing.
You went fishing. Oh, nice. I went to a little town called Parachi, just outside of the city in Rio de Janeiro. It was amazing.
Oh, I saw.
So now I'm back. So it's good to have everybody back, and hopefully people start joining us. I know I haven't been on the last week or two. I don't know, with my travels. So
you've been MIA, Renee, and we're gonna talk about that.
I've been MIA. Uh-oh. I'm starting to get hot. And nervous.
They're sweating.
I'm starting to sweat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh. So I see people coming on. As you're coming on, say hello. We're going to be talking about dating, sacred sex, and just kind of talking about first dates, and then going into what sacred sex is, and just this involvement. So if you guys and ladies, or if Jay and the ladies want to introduce yourselves real quick.
Well, I'm Cinzia Bella.
Welcome. That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
Okay, I am Breezy, and I'm happy still.
Yes. So if those who've been watching, and who's going to watch the replay, I'm glad to have Breezy back on, because everybody's been rooting for Breezy. To get in a relationship, we're going to have to ask about where you're at, what's going on.
Yes. Ask away.
Okay. And
I'm Jay, call me Mr. J, or just Jay, whatever. I like to usually speak about topics around polyamory, kink, BDSM. Those are usually my usuals. But I'm always happy to be in this audience of this crowd, this crazy bunch of us. We usually have a great combo.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We're rusty, y'all. We are rusty. We need to relax because we're usually. It's been a while since we've been together.
It's been a while since we've been together. So those of you who don't know, so first let me say, I'm Prandhara, also known as Renee. Oh, well, I guess I'm Renee, also known as Prandhara. And I'm a Tantric therapist, psychotherapist, sex and relationship coach. And I do these lives weekly to really just kind of break that stigma, that taboo about talking about sexuality and Tantra and these different things about sexuality. So it all kind of started. So I normally have my weekly, have different guests coming on, talking about different topics. And this group that we have right here, not that it's all of us, it's just a few, 4 out of this big group that we've had. We used to always meet on Tuesdays for adult conversations to talk about sexuality. And so we kind of started doing the first Wednesday of the month, us coming and just talking. This is all about the first Wednesday of the month. It is about us talking about different conversations. There's no pressure to be, no one here is trying to be an expert. We're asking each other questions. We're allowing you to come up and ask questions as well. And just really about having fun and talking openly about dating, about sexuality. And so that's who we are for the first Wednesday of the month. All right. So we're going to talk about 2 things. Just the first date, and then the second thing was an article from Mindbodygreen about sacred sex techniques, sacred sexuality, and how to have sacred spiritual sex. So that's going to be interesting. I always love all topics about sacred sex, just because sexuality has been a taboo, and we haven't really connected sex to spirituality, and I think that this is important because there's so many people that live with guilt, but let's go into the first date. And I know one of the most talked about lives that we did was with Breezy on here, when she brought up waiting for the 5 years after your last relationship, waiting for 5 years for your next date or to start dating again. So, so Breezy, we're gonna have you start that off.
Wait 5 years until you start dating again. It was wait 5 years until you enter into another relationship.
Oh, got you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if I recall correctly, we left off with Brenda. The mission was to find Brenda a zaddy.
Yes. Did that happen? I wasn't good on that mission, but I know everybody was rooting for her.
Everybody's rooting for her. People are still asking me.
I'm sorry?
The people are still asking me if Brenda got a zaddy.
That is too funny. So I did take Phil and Renee's advice, and then I went on Badoo. So I was in Chicago for like 3 months because my dad had got sick. So I got on Badoo up there. So the number of Black men available in Chicago is vastly different from the amount of Black men here in Virginia. But I did end up talking to a couple of guys, and right off the bat, they would either say something that irritated me. And so
Wait, you broke up. You said
it just did not work out. And so I returned to Virginia not too long ago. And the first guy that I exchanged numbers with, his first question to me was, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being never and 10 being you're on your knees when I get home, how open are you to giving oral sex? So I was like, oh, wow. I wasn't ready. Too much for me. So he hurried up and ended the phone call, and then I got a text from him, and he says, I don't want to waste your time. He's looking for somebody a little bit more open sexually and all that. So I was like, hey, no problem. I wish you the best. So then I get another text, and then he tells me, I'm a good looking man. I can have any woman I want to. You're the one that's going to need luck. So I was like, oh, wow, that kind of changed real fast. So that didn't work out. So then I ended up chatting with another gentleman, and he seems to be pretty good. He checks all the boxes so far. So
okay,
we get
good.
there.
All right, good.
But that's the thing, right? It's
Can
like,
you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You said no?
Yes,
Oh
yes,
Yes.
we hear you.
You
Yes,
can
we hear you.
Oh, okay. I couldn't hear you.
yeah, that's the thing. Like this is a little bit of work. Like I think ideally, now look, I mean, you're going to meet your good amount of fools, like oh boy with his 0 to 10 or whatever it was, but you know, there's some effort that has to be put into this. And I think I've, privately in our, adult conversations, I've talked to you all about how I approach it. But, there's some effort. There's some effort that you got to put into this thing that sometimes you don't necessarily want to, but it can yield good results if you do the work and do it.
This time, I was like, forget it. I'm not doing anything extra. So I'm talking on the phone. He was like, let's FaceTime. Don't have makeup, hair all over my head. Sure, let's FaceTime. I never FaceTime before. And so I know I was looking a hot mess. And he goes, oh, you're so beautiful. And I'm like, oh.
But
like, you think you need all of that makeup and all of that? I mean, I'm going to tell you, I usually do not care about that. I appreciate if somebody puts that effort in, but for me, it's just not necessary. Like, I actually want to see someone just without their makeup, just themselves, because then I feel like I can connect to who they are a little bit better. And that's just, I can't speak for all men, because I know a lot of guys who are like, oh, she don't have a weave, she's not serious about going out on a date with me. And I'm like, what?
But I've never heard that.
I've never heard that either. But
like, in certain areas like DC, there's a lot of men who don't feel like a woman is like a woman with like natural hair, for instance, that she didn't put an effort in. And I'm like, right. But for me, I want to see just you. Like, I appreciate it. I'm fine, and I will appreciate, and I will still be complimentary if you're wearing makeup and all that stuff. But for me, I just, I'm the dude that wants to see you in as natural a state as possible.
And it's interesting because every relationship that I've been in has been with a guy who they've seen me in a natural state, not wearing makeup. And it's interesting because the times that I have worn makeup and got all dolled up, don't meet anyone. But when I'm like, I feel like I'm looking my worst, they're like, oh my God, you're beautiful. And I guess they're like, okay, well, if I go to sleep and I wake up, I know what I'm getting. So I think,
I'm gonna tell you.
It's so funny. I met women, they got married, and they would say they would shower, come out, and put on a full face of makeup to go to bed. And I'm like, who does that? Like, well, I don't want him to see me without my makeup. And I'm like, but you're married to him. At some point, he's going to see all of you.
Exactly. And it's interesting. So talking about first dates, right? And talking about the hard work and patience, like Mr. J was saying. So I completely understand like what Breezy is talking about, right? We've talked about the dating thing, and I've asked a lot of questions trying to understand men and different things like that. And I've been on Tinder, I've been on Badoo, I've been on Hinge, all of them. And it's been difficult. There's like, you get a lot of craziness. And so as Cinzia is going to be putting me out there on the spot, these pictures that I've been posting. So I finally, connected with a guy from Tinder. And it was interesting because I want to bring this up talking about the first date, because literally it went pretty quickly. And this is what's really odd, which is not odd, but it just kind of really flowed, which hasn't happened in a while. But we connected on Tinder. We talked a couple times on Tinder, but it just really flowed where the conversation was going all day, all night. Then we switched over to WhatsApp. And then within less than a week, we went on our first date. He was like, oh, let's go, next weekend or next week or something. And I was like, oh, that time doesn't work for me. I have a very busy schedule. So I was like, well, how about Sunday? Like right now, like in 2 days. And this was like literally after maybe talking like a week or something. And he was like, yeah, okay. So we'll go to everything was closed because we're on lockdown here in Brazil, in Rio. So we couldn't really do anything. So he's like, okay, let's go to a beach. It was like, it's really like sneaking to the beach because the beaches are closed as well. But he's like, oh, I know a beach in the hood.
Dangerous, a little.
Dangerous. Yeah, it is, right? I'm like, okay, I don't know this guy. I don't know him at all. He's going to take me to the beach in the hood because it's more than likely it's open. And I'm like, oh, Lord, okay. I have my pepper spray ready. I have, all the different things in case I need it. First date, I wore a red dress, but it wasn't a sexy red dress. It was a beach dress that had a hole in it, and that's old. I swear, like I am not lying. It was like probably 5-6 years old, this dress, right? So I wear that, no makeup, nothing. And I'm like, look, I was so tired. I was like, I ain't even got time to try to look for a cute dress. We just going to the beach. We ain't going to the restaurant. I'm like, whatever. And so I go. And it was so nice. Like, he was like, oh my God, you're beautiful. And I'm like, oh, wow, thank you. And it flowed. We had a great time. Then by the time we went on our second date, that's when I actually dressed up. And I had a cute, nice little blue dress, long dress that had my body. You could see my curves and everything. And then it was funny because I could see the look in his eye. He was like, oh my God, you're amazingly beautiful. And it was like, you could see the first time, he's like, okay, you're beautiful. But I didn't really do anything. Like the second time when I really, got dressed up, he was like, wow. And I was like, for me, it was like, okay, now you deserve to get a little bit more. The first time I was still kind of like, I'm not putting all this energy and effort into like getting all dressed up. I'm being real. And that first date lasted like 10 hours long. Like it was all day and it just flowed.
So you let your abilities, you were vulnerable.
I was vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I truly allowed myself to be vulnerable. And that's the thing, right? And I like that you say that, because it's hard to let your guard down. And it's hard to say, okay, let me give this person a chance, even to the point where it's like, oh, he has a motorcycle, so he came to pick me up in his motorcycle, and so like I'm literally getting on his motorcycle and he could take me anywhere and do whatever. So I truly, and I never do that. Like if I'm dating someone on a first date, we're meeting at a restaurant, this is the thing, but because of these circumstances and how we flowed with talking, and I also have really good instincts, I felt like, nah, this is somebody who's cool, who I could take this chance with,
And that's a good thing, that you trust your instinct. There are people from dating sites that I would meet them and I would talk to them for months before I would even consider, calling them. Mm-hmm. And then there's some people that I would, just trust my instinct, and I'd be hanging out with them within hours of the first conversation on the app, right? Mm-hmm. We don't trust our gut enough. And then also, I like what you said about vulnerability, but I think there's something to showing up and just being yourself, like whatever that means. Just, it's freeing to me.
It
to
really
just be yourself. Mm-hmm. Like after I got when I got separated from my now ex-wife, one of the things that really worked for me is just being transparent. I was like, look, I want to date. I don't want to be sitting in my house all the time. I am lonely. I am broke because I have a lot of bills. I said, if I invite you over to cook you a meal, it's because I can afford to cook a meal, but I can't afford to take you out right now. Mm-hmm. And
but I would be like, let's go to a picnic at the park, because I don't think first date I'm going to anybody's house. That's just for safety and precautions.
I'm not saying first date. I'm not saying first date. I'm just saying for a date.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I just didn't really have money like that. And, for some women, they were like, nah, I'm good. And I'm like, hey, I get it. You want something different for yourself. Doesn't make me less than for that. Right. It just makes me not compatible with what they see for themselves. Right. But I kept it real with me so that I didn't have to put on any type of facade and then disappoint them later on and disappoint myself later on. Right.
Right.
So It's hard because like you want to, if you're taking the time to go out with somebody, you know, first date, third date, 10th date, you want them to want you. You want them to like you. You want them to be invested in who you are and what you're about. And, you know, nobody wants to hear, yeah, I'm not feeling you like that. But I'd rather you not feel me and I'm being my authentic self than you feel me and I can't be myself.
Right.
That's true. So listen, so update on me. I am separated now, but it looks like I missed Zaddy season because Renee, you have to tell the secrets because you're leaving your girl out in the cold.
But I mean, you've been separated how long now, though?
Well, I mean, technically, we knew we were going to end it back in October. But I was respectful because we were in the same household up until January when we sold our home. And so as of January, then I was like, you know, okay, it's off. I'm open for whatever. But I was laughing because I was in Clubhouse, and Renee, I know you're on Clubhouse a lot. And so there's a lot of discussions on relationships. You know, I have found there's discussions on everything from how to eat the ass right to how to start your own business. Like there's a lot of conversations on Clubhouse, but I ran into one on a night, and it was talking about first dates. And so I think, again, you know, I'm in my mid 40s. And so I would gauge the people in the group, majority of the people in the group to be, you know, maybe early 30s or younger. And they were talking about first dates. And the main thing was like coffee dates. And so majority of the females on there felt that a coffee date was a cheap date. A coffee date was not creative. A coffee date was just a lack of effort. And so I don't know if you all feel this, but for me, I think I would love a coffee date. One, I love coffee. So that's just a win-win. Whether they show up or don't show up, I could still enjoy a great cup of coffee. A lot of the people said they didn't like coffee. They didn't like the smell of coffee. So I'm thinking, okay, if not a coffee shop, maybe an ice cream shop, maybe, but something light. And so for me, I think a first date in a location like that, it gives you time to feel energy. So hopefully, you know, by phone, you've already built up, Mr. J, like you said, that chemistry to know, okay, or even like you said, Renee, just to move from the site app to WhatsApp and, you know, and then progress from there. But I think it's a perfect opportunity to have like a quick, you know, meet and greet to, one, make sure the vibe and the energy is there. Two, safety. Like I believe in safety. Someplace, Brenda, we were talking about this earlier, someplace with lots and lots of cameras.
Right.
And I always share my location. But and then if it's not going well, right, you're not waiting for dinner, you're not waiting for a bill, like your coffee's already paid. If it's not vibing, you can up and leave and end it right there.
Right.
So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with that. Well, I personally don't drink coffee, but I do love the smell of coffee. But I do tea. You know, but for me, I even like what you said earlier about doing a picnic. You know, so for me, I feel like it's a good way to not be stressed, especially if the person who's taking you out doesn't have a lot of money at that time. And that situation can change. Just because the person might be going through a difficult situation right in this current moment doesn't mean it's going to stay that way, right? So, you know, I think that having something a lot less formal, it really just allows you to be able to be more yourself and more free. So for me, because I don't drink coffee, I would still be like, okay, yeah, we could go there. If they have tea, I'll drink tea while you drink your coffee. Ice cream, I don't do ice cream because I'm lactose intolerant. So it would have to be, so for me, it would have to be like tea or you know, just going to like a Starbucks and just getting my tea there or whatever, getting cookies. I don't know. Like I'm very, very open with that. And I think that that is a good way to be able to have a stress-free date and really get to know someone before you move on to something bigger, like a dinner or anything like that.
Now,
go ahead, Brenda.
My first meet and greet was at Walmart. So there are cameras in the parking lot, and there are cameras in every aisle in Walmart. And so he had to pick up a couple of things. And so I was like, I'll just join you shopping. So to me, that was, it took some of the pressure off, too. Also, you know, checking to see what it was he was putting in his basket, you know, little things like that. So, like just a quick, you know, maybe 15 to 30 minutes, just to see, like I said, if the chemistry was there, if the conversation flowed from the telephone. So that was good. And then our first initial date, we went fishing. I don't know how to fish, but I've always wanted to go fishing. So, you know, we took another trip to Walmart. You know, he got all the supplies, the reel, the fishing license, and all that. And I think probably like halfway through the date, he was trying to show me how to cast my reel. It fell apart in the water. But it was a good time. I really had a good time. So it was.
You never forget
very
that.
Comfortable. Yeah. Nobody on the pier will forget that.
So, you know, I'm going to tell you, there's this thing that I used to do. I like the Starbucks date because they can get their coffee. I can get my my latte. And what do you call it? The chai latte, right? Mm-hmm. That's my joint. But I like to, when I'm online, I like to meet them like right on the very inside, and then we get online together. And I usually would pick a crowded one so that I knew we'd be online for a few minutes.
Wait. Now, Jay, that sounds like spy stuff.
No, listen. This is really good.
I would think like people are gonna bum rush with the cameras and the
right.
No.
Proceed.
So I had a science to this thing, right? When I always picked a busy Starbucks so that when we get online, we have some time to talk, me and the woman, right? And depending on the vibe that I got from her, I would either get the small, what do they call it? I don't know, the grande, or
the tall,
that's a tall, or the venti, which is the big one, right? Mm-hmm. If I got the small one, it's because the vibe was off, and I knew.
Right, you wanted to hurry up and finish.
When I was done, we were done. If I got the venti, that means I was feeling her, and then we could spend some time and talk, and I could nurse my little latte as it cooled down, and then we can go. And then usually what we would end up doing is going for a walk and talking, you know, if it wasn't like freezing outside, or planning another time to get together. So I would use that time on that long ass line to just kind of feel her out, let her feel me out, and see what kind of vibe I get. By the time I get to the front, I make the decision. Are we going grande or are we going venti?
So for women out there that dated you, then now you let the secret out. So if you were tall with them, they know. That's why he goes to me.
The women that I ended up like seeing again with the venti women, I would always tell them the story. I would always tell them the story. They would laugh. But maybe the ones who I got the grande with, they're probably learning this for the first time if they're seeing
right.
This.
They're watching this live right now, like, oh man, now I know. So let me just comment here some of the comments that we got. Lakita Humphrey says a good date for her is a bookstore, paddle boats, or just flying a kite. So those are some good ideas. Nice. Yeah. Because then even at the bookstore, like, you know, could talk about the different books that's there, and you get to know the person, to know what types of books they like.
But are you going to paddle boat with someone on the first date?
No.
Oh, now that could be tricky. That could be tricky because you'll be way out and can't get back if it's not good. You might want to throw them out the boat, or they might want to throw you out the boat. So it's like, oh.
you get out on a paddle boat, and then they be asking you a question like that dude asked Breezy. On a scale from 1 to 10,
right. And then if she say 10, he's gonna whip it out right there. Okay,
right.
And Priscilla says ice cream cool, coffee I'm not showing up.
Yeah,
So,
but you know, I think the point is just to keep it light. So you have an out. If it's not going well, you have an out. And you know, on that conversation that I listened to, most of them wanted to go out to like a full dinner, fancy restaurant. And to me, that's just a little too deep. That's maybe second, third date. But I think the initial, for me, that first one, you know, my husband and I, we had separated 2 years ago. And I was going out on dates. And mainly, you know, it was so funny because I would pick, it was a Papa Do's that was away from my house. It wasn't nowhere in my neighborhood. And of course, I always met under an alias name because, again, that's another way to protect my identity. So everything about me, I was transparent with except my name. Mm-hmm. I would always get there earlier, you know, and if you go to Papa Do's, you know, they put your name on the name tag. So it would be my fake name. But always just allowed myself an out. And again, so I went on a couple that it ended, you know, right after the drink. I didn't even order food because I would wait to order food. So like instead of being tall or venti, it would be drink or drinking a meal. And so so I would order just a drink ahead of time, again, because I would get there first. And then if it was going well, then I would order a meal. But if not, I stuck to the drink and then ended it and left.
So it's so interesting. What do you guys think about this? So I told my date, my boyfriend, we went on a first date.
Use the B word.
I know, right? we sealed the deal this week while we were traveling. And it's interesting. So, you know, I'm gonna put myself out there. And it's interesting because literally we talked like, you know, the week before, then we went on a date. We went on 2 dates, then we decided to travel together. And I mean, obviously we had sex this whole week. So, you know, I was telling him, I'm like, you know, Americans typically, we have a 3-month rule. We have a 3-month rule. That was out the window, out the window. Yo, you don't have a 3-month rule?
Hell no.
Oh, I don't either. Now, you know what? Let me tell you, I got rid of that 3-month rule after I was dating this guy for 3 months before I had sex with him. When I finally had sex, his dick was small and he was not circumcised, and I don't have a problem with not circumcised. He ain't watching this. I know that he right. Well, look, I'm keeping it real.
Look, it must be great sex. She's calling boyfriend.
Right. He didn't circumcise. He wasn't circumcised, which is not a problem for me, but he just didn't do a good job with cleaning himself. So like, you know, when I would kind of like pull it down, there would always be some like white stuff around there. And I was just like, ugh. Oh. So I was like, after him, I was like, I ain't waiting 3 months no more. Not waiting. I need to know how clean you are. I need to know if you can have good sex. And he wasn't even good. And I felt bad because I actually really, really liked him. Like really, really liked him. And I was like, dang, do I just break up with him for this? And I was like, just let him do one thing. Yeah, I was like, just one thing I don't like. Just one thing I don't like. I'm breaking up with him. And I did. But I want to break up just for that and be like, right after we had sex, and it'd be like, oh yeah, no, it's not working.
No, you have to. But you know, I think that's honesty because you're a sexual person, right? And if sex is important to you, why? Why waste the time? Like, you're not doing the service.
And that's why I like, and so, you know, so that's why I kind of got rid of that. And it's like, I remember when I was talking about, you know, traveling with this guy, I had one of my girlfriends was like, make sure you don't have sex with him. And I'm like, well, why not? Like, if we're feeling it, and this is the thing, and this is where I'm at, right? Like, if you're feeling each other and you're conscious of what you're doing, then, you know, it's like, why wait? Like, why, you know, why wait? And I don't know what's going to happen with this relationship. Who knows? Maybe next week it might be over. Maybe it won't be. I don't know. But I was very much, you know, like we said earlier, making myself vulnerable, going with the flow and trusting what he says, trusting what I'm feeling, and just allowing it to flow. And this was an amazing 2 weeks that I spent traveling with him, you know. And it's crazy because the travel with someone who you really don't know and you've only been on 2 dates with,
right?
Like I was like, when we were going, I was like, this is gonna make or break us. It's gonna make or break us. And I know I'm not the most easy person. I know I'm not. I'm a Virgo, right? So Virgos are very detailed. We're very critical. And yeah, pay attention to everything. And I'm like, you know what? This is the first time I haven't found something I didn't like in a person. Like I'll be dating and I'm like,
Wow.
like I'll be like breezy. I'll be like breezy. Nah, this irritated me.
Look,
nah, I don't like this.
I missed the Zaddy Moon. Like, where was I? I took Renee's Lingam course. I need to practice.
So speaking of that, on our first date at the beach, I did the sensitive massage on him. I didn't do the lingam.
Oh, okay. I was going to say you were real adventurous at the beach.
Yeah. So, he had his shirt off because he just had his swimming trunks. And I was doing a little sensitive massage. He started getting goosebumps and he was like, wow. He was like, oh my God, this feels so good. What are you doing? And I was like, oh, this is, from Tantric massage. You do Tantric massage? I was like, yeah. He was like, oh my God. He was like, I'm getting goosebumps. Like, this feels really good. And the thing is, a lot of times men and women are just not used to being touched all over their body in different places. I was doing his face, like everywhere that I could reach, without any end goal of to have sex, of just being there and connecting. And what I liked about him was he immediately did it on me. So like after I did it on him, he went and he was like, how does this feel? Am I doing it correctly? And that was a big plus,
Curiosity.
He was like,
yeah.
Like that curiosity, and he picked it up really quickly. Like when he did that massage on me, I was like, oh my God. Like I have done classes so many times in person, and I had to keep telling the person, go slower, lighter. And it was like he picked it up. And that was a big thing.
I think that's the energy too. Like you all had that flow of energy and that exchange, and you connected, and then you were no longer the teacher. Mm-hmm. You were just receiving. So
Right. Yeah, because I hate teaching, especially if it's like, yeah. I like teaching people. I don't like teaching somebody I'm in a relationship with. I like to be able to just be in that flow. That's what I mean, And so, and I think that's the thing. And I think that he also has a spirituality. He does capoeira. He's very into that spirituality. And this was like when we have conversations, they're deep conversations. And I see that he does the work. He's done the work on himself, and he's constantly doing the work to keep growing and learning. Tony says, I miss classes. I miss having you in my classes too, Tony, but I'll see you in Brazil on my retreat. Can't wait. Priscilla says, more like 3 dates rule as opposed to that 3-month rule. Yeah. And honestly, I wouldn't even say a 3-date rule. Like literally, I mean, this guy and we only had 2 dates, right? And if it was flowing, it could have possibly happened on the first date. Like I'm not necessarily opposed to that if it's flowing. Yeah, grown. Yeah.
So Renee, we could segue now into the sacred sex in the article that we all read, and how to set up sacred sex. And I think Phil sent this article to us originally, but it talks about incorporating like spirituality and sex and connecting on a whole different level. I'm curious to know if everybody else thought. I was thinking majority of the stuff I kind of already do.
Yeah. Mr. J, were you about to say something?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So I was going to say, I like the article. Yeah. And there's a lot of things that I do as well, obviously. But like, when I was going into it, it was interesting because I was thinking to myself, how often are you going to do all of these things? Like it's a lot. And and for me, so even when I look at like with this guy being sacred and sex and spiritual within our sex, both of us have a meditative practice. Both of us have a spiritual practice, right? Neither one of us are religious. But when we were going into that communion, what was beautiful was we looked into each other's eyes, we breathed together. And obviously I initiated that, right? I was like, okay, I like to do now. I was upfront. I'm like, look, I like more of the tantric sex. I don't want, and I tell them, I don't enjoy being touched just to have sex, because a lot of times guys do that. They'll touch you, or women do that too, right? Touch you just to try to have sex as opposed to just connecting. And so, I'm like, so doing those little things, like we we actually bought candles and never even used the candles. So this article talked about the candles.
Right.
We never even used the candles. But I think it was more about being conscious and in tune. What did you say, Mr. J?
I said intentional.
And
intentional, yes. That's
very
word.
Sharing your time, sharing your touch, sharing yourself, sharing your vulnerabilities. You're being intentional about doing those things. And I think that means more than all the other stuff. That I gotta say, and I'm sorry, I know I cut you off and I apologize.
No, it's okay.
But I really thought that the article, and maybe we should share the article in the link so that people know what we're talking about. But
yeah,
I read the article and it was very esoteric to me. I mean, it was like, it reminded me of spoken word poetry in 1999, where a lot of people got up there and started saying a lot of stuff, just filling the space with words that didn't really connect with me as a listener. And I'm not saying that everything in it was bad. It wasn't. There were some little nuggets there, but I didn't think that it was, I didn't think it was an article that had enough meat on it to give someone a direction of where they should really go. I don't know.
I completely agree. I completely agree. So just real quick, like going through the article, connect to your spirituality, decide to see your partner as divine. Okay, I think that, that's a great thing. Create the environment in which sacred sex can blossom, engage the senses, find soft, beautiful blanket with your beloved, sprinkle rose petals around the space, light candles and play music. Like, to me, that's creating a great environment, ambiance, but that doesn't necessarily make it spiritual in my mind.
Doesn't.
Right? And then prepare your body, shower or bathe. Cleanliness is essential to meet the divine. Like for me, I mean, how many times we didn't take a shower? I mean, I don't take a shower. I'm not one of those people. Like, I feel like, why take a shower beforehand? Yes, sometimes you may need to if you're really sweating and you're funky or something. But sometimes it's just great to really smell each other as you really are. Like, that's what activates those pheromones. Like, for real.
Something for me, after a man cuts the grass and that sweat, that's the sexiest thing to me.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how I found my zaddy. Go around.
But to your point, right? Like, a lot of times the best sex that I have with my partner is that she and I are just like, hey, you want to get it in?
Right.
And we have like amazing, connected, explosive, wonderful, intentional, loving, passionate, just all them damn adjectives, and we just make it happen. And it's so beautiful. And it's like, I see where you can do some of these things, but I don't think that they're all necessary to have that type of sacred sex as described here in this article. And then also, not to beat up on the article itself, but one of the things they talked about, and I can't remember exactly where, but they're like, hey, you two get together and you do the things that you want to do to your partner. And I was like, that doesn't sound very consensual. Right. And I was just like, maybe that's a conversation you should have with your partner before you have sex with your partner, because maybe that's not the thing they want to do. So I get the intent from the title, where they were trying to go and what they were trying to get us to understand and to learn. And maybe this article will help some people. But I mean, I would say do a little bit more research, ask a lot more questions, not just about the article, but to your partner, the person that you're engaging with, and try to figure out what they actually like. and you can share what you actually like, and maybe you two can have this very connected, spiritual, sexual experiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree. And I liked the article. I liked it. It gave it gave tips that I think people can do. I agree what you said though, like, and that's the thing that they didn't touch on, in that one thing that you read. Consent is important. Consent is important. And you have to discuss these different things beforehand. Now we even talk about, even if you've already had sex with someone, don't take it for granted and think you could just have sex with them again. And so, and
Or
I
have
think
a certain kind of sex with them again.
right. And I think in your mind, if you're like, for me, one of the things that hit me when I was reading this is like, if in my mind I say, in order to have sacred spiritual sex, I need to have essential oils, I need to have candles, I have to do this, it takes away from it. It's almost like going to church and you do this ritual and then you're this great Christian because you go to church every Sunday and you're doing this. But in your heart, you're not in it, right?
Did you see the part where they talked about taking the oils and putting it on your partner's genitals?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
You know what immediately came to my head? I'm not trying to mess up your pH balance. And then
Exactly. And those essential oils, they burn the skin. So I don't remember reading about her saying, make sure it's in a carrier oil. But if I have a partner who's like, let me put this on your genitals, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing going on my genitals unless it's gonna be
eaten. Essential oil.
Yeah, definitely not essential oil. Maybe some whipped cream. Whipped cream.
Listen,
chocolate.
If it's not something that you have used there before, you can count on me not putting it on your genitals, because I don't want no beef with you later on. You talking about, oh, you gave me BV or you gave me a yeast infection because you threw up my pH balance. Like, that shit matters. You know what I'm saying?
It does.
I don't mean to take away the sensuality of the moment, but you got to be practical too, right? Mm-hmm. And you got to take you should be intending to also take care of your partner. And if you, like me, I know that something like, using oils on, or foreign, what's the like oils or I can't think of the word, substances on on a woman's genitals especially, I know what that can do. And for me to just do that, especially without her consent, because the article didn't really get into, I think they mentioned consent maybe once in the article in the very beginning, but like in these specific setting of the mood, I'm like, yo, like, I wouldn't be taking care of you if I just took an essential oil and put it on, on your vagina.
But sometimes that could be a lack of awareness, because not everyone is aware. Not all women are aware that you shouldn't put just anything down there. And then most men aren't educated to know that, you just can't do that. So I think a lot of times too, it just could be a lack of awareness, and people not knowing.
But I think the author,
there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people who buy those suppositories to give themselves a better scent. And it's like, even those things, there's so many things that these stores, the public is selling to you, to women, that's so harmful. I remember I had a friend of mine, she was like, oh, use this before you have sex. And I'm like literally reading the ingredients. And there's all these names that I didn't know. And then it's like all these isotoners, I think it is, or something. And I Google what that is. And I'm like, I saw what that's used for. And they were like, how it's dangerous for your body. And I'm like, why would you put this inside of you? And so it's like, people don't do the research. They don't learn how these different things can affect you. And they were using all of these things and putting it inside of them. And we just can't. Yeah.
But I think the overall intent with sacred is just connecting spiritually, connecting and going beyond just, oh, let's bang. But like you said, the eye gazing, like I love eye gazing. Like there's just something about staring in the eyes. Look at Brenda smile. Are you eye gazing, my love?
That's because
She's eye gazing her man right now. That she feeling.
Yeah, you peer into their soul when you do that. You feel that energy exchange. So that is a big turn on. Absolutely.
Yeah, and if a guy can't do that, that's a turn on for me because I feel like you're hiding something. Like, you know, I believe eyes are the windows to the soul, and if we can't,
What if he's shy though?
But I think it's the way you look because you don't do this.
Right. And I think that's the thing because like so like the guy that I'm dating, my boyfriend, he's shy, and you could see it.
My
like
boyfriend,
sometimes I'll say
love
something.
it.
I know, me too. I'm all here for it. So like you know, like you could tell he's shy, and like I'll say something like I'll flirt, and then he'll do like a little like you could see it. I'm like, oh, he's so shy, so cute. But we did the eye gazing right on our first date, which is kind of like that's a lot. But we did it, and I'm like, yeah, we do this. And even though he was shy, he did it, and he looked, and that gave me that comfort because I could see him and I connected with him. And the fact that he was open to do that, amazing. Then on the trip, I was like, you want to do some hape? He was like, man, he was like honest. I'm afraid. I don't know who come up. Hape, if you don't know, it's some
I was gonna ask, what is that?
Medicine. Yeah, so it's plant medicine that a lot of in African traditions they use, but more so in indigenous. So a lot of the indigenous. But you blow it up your nose. So you blow it up your nose. It has tobacco and different herbs. Yeah,
Mr. J eyes, what up?
I was reading Tony Fowler's comment. It said,
"Oh, your eyes
and preachy." That's him. So you know, he was like, "Yeah, I don't know." He was like, "I'll do it. I'm nervous," and he did it with me, and I was like, "Wow, like that's amazing." That you know, he was honest, and I was like, "Well, you don't have to." He was like, "No, I want to experience, you know, what you do," and I'm like, "Awesome." And I'm like, "All right, well, you know, you can lead some ceremonies with me. I done initiated you because he plays music." So I'm like, you can play the music while I'm doing my little hape rituals and things like that. So it's kind of cool. Like, I think that, you know, those are some important things with making sex more spiritual is that opening up to also know what your partner is doing and wanting to learn. And that made it so much more spiritual for me, that he was just willing to do that, you know? Try something different that he's never done before. So, so I'll hear from Breezy. She's been quiet. But I know, Mr. J, you have a question?
I was going to ask, would you still feel as connected if he just wasn't ready to do those things right now?
I would, because it's all about timing. And I told him, like, you know, hey, if you don't want to, you don't have to. It's okay. Like, and I said, don't do it just for me to try to impress me. Right? Like, Lakita said, try mushroom. Oh, that was the other thing. Oh, and let me not talk about that. Never mind. No hape yet. Never mind. I can't give up too much.
Is that how you spell it?
Hape, yeah, spelled like rape, but there's an accent on the E. Oh, Breezy, you got a secret admirer. Tony loves your smile and dimples. I know, right?
So with the guy that I met, I already shared this with Cinzia. There was always something about somebody. So to kind of like get to a point with somebody where the conversations are continuing, we're spending time with one another, it became emotionally overwhelming for me because I had built up such a wall all these years that I did not realize. And then now I didn't do it. It just happened. Open myself up to allowing myself to like somebody back. It terrified me.
Mm-hmm.
I broke down and started crying. Like I had like a serious emotional moment because I was like, what is happening to me? Like, how did this happen? How did it happen? And I didn't see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
So now working through all of those like an onion, just pulling back all of these different layers of things. And I think the last conversation that you all did, I think on the Clubhouse, I kind of attacked Mr. J because he had hit a nerve or something. At that point, I didn't even know that it still bothered me. And so it was like I was just so closed up. So it's like now really paying attention and allowing myself to feel has been, it's scary, but it's a nice feeling at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, it's so important, like for, you know, when you've been married to someone and then you've divorced, even if the marriage wasn't great, it feels like one of the biggest failures of your life. And I'm speaking for myself. I can't speak for everyone, but you know, it feels like such a huge loss, even if it wasn't perfect. And there's so much work that we have to do on ourselves, for ourselves, in order to heal from that. You know, so I can understand when you were talking about like that 5 years. I mean, it wasn't my method, because I think that if you don't practice, you don't get to a level of proficiency. But it was some years before I felt like I could like love someone again. And a lot of that was because I just needed to heal so that I could remember that love, while a beautiful and great experience, that no one says that it's going to be forever. I mean, we want to believe that it's going to be forever, but it isn't
Well,
always.
we do that because that's what we're taught. Find
Right.
your Prince Charming, find your princess, and live happily
Right.
ever after. Nobody talks about all the stuff that you have to do to get there,
Right. And
or
so,
how to walk away if it's not right.
Right. Yeah.
and so when we have these relationships and they don't work, and we walk away or they walk away, it doesn't mean that everything about that relationship was horrible. I mean, we had the blessing of experiencing love at some point with that person. That's a thing you want to be grateful for. You want to be grateful for that, for having someone that you could say I loved.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, there was this, I'm trying to remember, I think it was David Banner. There's some interview with him, and he talks about you know, many of the things. Oh gosh, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna send it to y'all. But he was just talking about how so many of the things that we think are bad are actually tied to being blessed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about this. He didn't say specifically about love, but I adapted it to my understanding about love. Like, yeah, you could say, oh, I was in this relationship and I loved someone and they left me and they hurt me, right? Or you can say, you know what? The Creator saw fit to put me in a position that I could experience and feel and share love with someone.
Perspective.
Right? It's all perspective, right? So, you know, we get so afraid, especially after something like divorce. And, you know, and Cinzia, you're kind of in the middle of this thing right now, right?
You know, yeah, and it's so funny, but I don't feel like I had a loss because I feel like the last two, so we separated 2 years ago for 6 months and then we got back together. But in getting back together, and you know, we had this on previous discussions if people want to go back and check it out. I think in those 2 years, I really focused on me because being married so young, I never did that. You know, it was always trying to create what society says you should have, but not knowing the tools or having the tools to know how to build that, you know. And so yeah, I'm kind of in the middle, but I don't feel a loss, if that makes sense. Like
it does.
The separation was amicable, and we talk every day, and we still have that family unit, you know, with our kids. But I don't feel a sense of loss. I actually feel a sense of like I've been reborn or repurposed. And so I honestly feel like I've learned so much from you guys over this last year and other things that I've ventured into that I'm open. Like I do want to just date and, you know, use what I've learned in Renee's class, have a little fun. But I'm not opposed to going back into another relationship. And I don't know if it'll be 5 years like Breezy's planned, but and I know you were going to say more, Mr. J, but,
No,
I'm at a peace. I'm really
I'm encouraged to hear that. And you know, when I was like fresh out of mine, I did the same thing. I would say about a year and a half, 2 years before I got divorced. I mean, I got separated like officially, and where I was just like, all right, I'm really gone this time. Same thing. I was separated for like about 8 or 9 months, 7 months, somewhere like that. And I went back, and you know, it had still its ups and downs, but eventually our marriage didn't survive, right? But you know, I felt very much like how you feel right now, immediately after. But I'll be damned if when I got that last court case, and then I got that decree in the mail, it was a very somber moment. And it hit me in a way that I thought I was gonna be celebrating and crip walking. I ain't a crip, but I thought when I was done.
Party.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna have one of those divorce parties, and it was a very somber moment. It was a very somber moment. But you know, luckily I had kind of prepared myself. I had done a lot of the work that I needed to do around me and renewal of myself. And you know, that first year I lived in an apartment that faced the back of the building, you know, New York City buildings. And you know, I never really got to see the sunrise or the sunset. I just saw a lot of shadow and darkness. And it was so symbolic of where I was. You know, there were days where I would just lay in the bed. I worked from home, and I just lay in the bed and just look up at the ceiling for hours doing nothing. I was depressed. And I was happy to not be with her, but I was also still depressed for the failing of my marriage. And, you know, it took me digging out of that and working through that before I felt renewed completely. And that took a couple of years. It took a couple of years before I felt like I was ready to like be in something substantial. And so, you know, to that respect, Breezy, I totally feel you, because I wouldn't take that time just to take that time. I would take the time to work on me. And right. Breezy, you know, what started this is like, I think you're seeing now that you have to do some work to kind of like break those walls down, right? But in a responsible way. Like, please be patient with yourself as you're doing this. Don't expect that, like, you know, now you're in this new thing, you know, where you might have a potential partner that you're just going to be fixed right away. I think you know that. Yeah. Please be patient with yourself. Please be patient with yourself, because it's going to make a difference if you are just balanced in your approach to healing yourself. But what really encouraged me is that you acknowledge that there's a wall. Because that's, you know, they used to say that, G.I. Joe commercial, knowing is half the battle, right? So that's who you are right now. You know what the deal is, and so now you can work towards making those changes. So I'm so encouraged for you. I'm very happy for you. You know, I still have this policy. You don't want to go all in, right? But we're gonna go there. I want you to enjoy how you enjoy. But please come back next time and give us some more updates.
I'm looking at D Love's comment. I hope that's not the case. My marriage was 26 years. I don't want to wait half that time, because who knows? That'll be way too long.
Damn, you know what? I hate to give you the math, but in my case,
no, that's for you. No, I can't see it.
Yeah. You don't have to accept that. Don't accept that. But I heard that too.
I don't.
I heard that too.
I think it was more coincidental, though, right? Because how much work you put into the thing, you know, is going to make the difference ultimately.
But, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I also had some other life events that happened. And so in November, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so at that time, toggling with my marriage, I'm like, you know what? I've given so much to this. My priority now is this. And then in February, I was diagnosed as well. So now I have my own issue that I have to deal with. And it's just like, I've given so much to that I have to let that energy go, and he has to go do his work, and he has to heal. And, you know, in the grand scheme of things, if somewhere down the road we end back up together, then, you know, great. But if not, I think we have a mutual respect for each other right now, and I just know I have to focus on me. All my energy has to be on me, and so I've made peace with that, and I have my own path and things that I need to do, and I want to have a little bit of fun in the process, like. So
well, listen, you definitely have. I'm going to say many prayers for you and for your mother.
Thank you.
You know, to give you restoral. I can't imagine what you're experiencing right now, but I am with you encouraged as well that you seem in good spirit about what you're experiencing, and I think that's a thing that will help you to heal. Is keeping that good spirit about yourself. So
yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely agree with what Jay just said, and that's important. Is just being in that good spirit, being positive, being hopeful, and enjoying life. And focusing on yourself.
I'm telling you, it's a wake up call. Like you realize, like, you know what? I have to start living for me. It's not about work. It's not about career. It's happiness.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that honestly, that should be what life is about for everyone, right? We've been conditioned so much to work.
Yes.
And you don't focus on your happiness. You don't focus on living. You don't. And it wasn't until I moved to Brazil where it was like, oh my God, I actually can go and do acupuncture. I could actually go and get massages and do some self-care and not just work. It's, it's crazy how things are in the US, how it just really makes you not even worry about your self-care, your mental health. So
Renee, I share you with a lot of people. I share a lot of your posts and everything, and they have fallen in love with you. And I always love telling your story. And I'm like, I'm like, that's like finding your path, finding what you want to do. And even again, to stumble upon you and be on this platform like this for me is just different. I say that every time, but it's fun.
It's a lot of fun. It is. I enjoy this. Yeah. So, Breezy, I do want to share with you and everybody who's listening. Dee says you are saying a word, Renee. Thank you. I will be in Virginia. I arrived May 13th. I will be there for a month. I am actually going to be doing a workshop in VA. So I'm letting you know. Oh, and real quick before we get off and everything, Mr. Phil is doing a little cameo here. So Hey Phil, we all love Phil.
Phil in Brazil.
Look at Breezy did her hair up.
Oh,
I love it.
Phil, you missed it.
What did I miss? Wait,
Zaddy season. You have missed Zaddy season. Renee has a Zaddy. Breezy has a Zaddy. Phil, do you have a Zaddy?
I think I'm the Zaddy in this case. Yes. For quite a few young gentlemen. But I know all about Renee because, I keep up with Renee's life. I'm like on her. But Breezy, that's what I was going to ask because she's looking like, it's like, what happened? Give me the 2-minute version.
Well, I was telling them earlier that I took yours and Renee's advice. So I tried Badu out. I tried it out in Chicago, and then I tried it when I got back to Virginia. So it's more successful in Virginia. So I've met someone. So far, so good.
That's why she's glowing. She's always listen. I always say this. I always got to give a preface because all these women and Mr. J, all these women glow already. So I always got to give that preface. But every once in a while, you see this extra glow, and something's going down. And as soon as I saw Breezy, I was like, "What is going on with this woman?"
You knew it. Happy. You felt it. We're all happy.
Yeah. We're all happy. That's so cool that the Badu worked for you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. So Dee says, I'm so happy to hear this, Breezy. You have the sex glow. Yeah. Wait, we don't know if she had sex yet. Did you have sex? Well, sex doesn't just mean penetration.
Exactly. I was about to say on that one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The energy is just, I feel like I've known this person like my whole entire life. Like no nervousness, no anything like that before. So like I said, all of those emotions came in because he kind of like snuck up on me. And I was like, I like him. I normally don't like anybody, but it's like, I like him.
Right.
Look, he must have not had a picture with the dog. He must have not took a
Right.
picture in the bathroom.
No.
And how long did it take? How long did the whole conversation on Badu take? Like, how did that go? Because I remember you were saying how you didn't like those conversations to begin with. Like, what did you do different?
What was different about him is I had said for myself, I wanted to be courted. Like, I want someone to date me. So he was all for taking his time and getting to know me and dating me. So, but he said it first. I didn't have to ask for that. He said that first. I was like, oh, that's what caught my attention with him.
Oh, and Phil, you missed it. So you know what really turned her on was he said from a scale of 0 to 10. I'm joking. I knew it wasn't him.
Oh, Lord.
Let me finish my shit. He said from a scale of 0 to 10, how much are you willing to do oral sex? 0. What was it? Push, get out of here. 10 on your knees.
And 10 when I get home, you're already on your knees.
What?
Yeah. That was someone else who she gave the goodbye to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I don't see Breezy going for somebody like that.
It was comical. She would screenshot and send me photos, and I'm like, oh my goodness. There was one that was very I don't even know the word. It was like Prince resurrected.
Right. So real quick, while we have Phil on here, because Phil actually sent us the article that we talked about today and we dissected. Phil, I don't know if you remember reading the article, if you read it again today. Did you have any takes, any thoughts on the article?
What was the article again?
The
11 steps to sacred sex, but they only had 8.
11 steps to safer sex. I sent that.
11 steps to sacred sex.
Oh, but I remember that was a long time ago. I'm not gonna remember that. Yeah, I'm not. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's okay.
Let me take a look at it real quick. No, but can I ask something, please? Because one thing that I thought, well, maybe not ask, but comment. Well, I like that what Cinzia was saying, how she was a Breezy's buddy. So I think that's so important, guys, when you're out there in the dating game, is have a buddy, have somebody like. I'm sort of like that with Renee, except that Renee just found this man out of nowhere. Like, she's always sending me these, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Then suddenly I'm like, who the hell is this hot chocolate? Like, taking her here, taking her.
You know what? I noticed that she just disappeared. She does a lot of posting. And I'm like, wait a minute. I had to go back and look.
I've been cheated on. I feel like I've been cheated on.
Because that's the thing. I had been like, Phil, I'll send him a message. Look what this guy sent me. I'm like, I don't like him. I sent him all of that. Then all of a sudden, I don't even send him anything about this guy. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, traveling with him. Phil's like, what the heck? I'm like, Phil, I love you. Don't worry. I'm kind of seeing somebody right now.
Because guys, 1 week she's like flying in a helicopter with like this gay sugar daddy that she met. And I'm like, you're living your best life. Don't let go of this guy. And then the next week, she's with this young chocolate little something hanging on her shoulder. I'm like, what? But guys, it's so cool to have like a friend that and always do that when you're doing the online dating. Don't be embarrassed. Show the warts, the possible gold mines. Get advice. Don't do it alone. Because I think. That's what's changed so much about online dating is that there was a time, and I'm watching a lot of the X-Files lately, and we just had an episode. Renee, you got to watch this episode.
Okay. Wait, listen, real quick. I have to go grab my laptop charger because it's about to die. So just keep talking, and I'll be right back.
Okay, so the episode is about this guy who goes after women who are on this online dating site, and then he kind of sucks the fat out of them. He likes kind of big women, and it's the X-Files. Okay, so they got to put something weird in it. But what I liked about it, one, it was a good episode, but it kind of aged a little bit in that it portrayed what the online dating scene was like in 1994 or whatever. It was just like these sad, lonely women behind the computer, afraid to go out and meet people. And it's not that anymore. Now it's
No,
like
it's
everybody
normal.
does it. It's
Mhm.
normal. So don't feel ashamed to say to your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever, your friends, hey, I'm on Badoo, I'm on Tinder, what do you think of this guy? What do you think of this girl? And have that support group, because it can be kind of upsetting sometimes to go on 10 dates and they're all losers and they kind of look like they would have been okay. And you're like, ah. So it can be discouraging. That's the word I was looking for. So have that buddy, have that person there with you who will laugh right along with you, who's going to cheer right along with you,
Yeah.
who
So
you can share all the unwanted dick pics with.
right. So I even have a funny story. So when I had that separation period, there was a guy that I saw a couple times, and so every time I meet a guy, I would let him know, listen, if you're a serial killer, rapist, whatever it is, just know that my friend already has your information. They know my location. I have a check-in time. So just know somebody's going to be looking for me. And so with this one guy that I saw several times, like he was very aware of Breezy. And I remember one night Breezy went out and had a couple drinks, and she called me and she said, I'm a little tipsy, so I'm just going to sit in my car. And so I relayed that information, and he's like, well, do we need to go pick her up? And I was like, in Virginia? He had no, he knew that we were so tight. He had no idea she was in a whole different state.
Cool. Oh, you
And
guys
so,
are sisters then. You're sisters.
Yeah, but just to know, but she always has my location. I have her location. And so, if anything jumps out of the norm, we have our keys and our signals.
Too. Safety.
Yeah.
It's so important.
Safety. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that's good to talk about for a first date, right? It's having that buddy, having that system where you let them know. Even when I used to, before I moved to Brazil, before Phil, and I would go out on a date, I would always send my cousin, be like, this is where we're going. This is his license plate number. I would take the license plate, as much information as I could get, I was giving that to someone. So, that's so important.
I agree.
Phil, I love what you said, and it made me think about, before online dating apps and all of these things, right? People would go where? They go to bars, right? I mean, I think the most common place that people would talk about going to meet someone was at a bar. Most people didn't go by themselves. They'd go with their friends, and maybe they'd meet someone that might be of interest while they're there, and if someone came over and they weren't interested in, they could ignore them and chuckle and laugh with their friends, right? So it was kind of like a team sport, before online dating. But just like online dating, I think people make it out like bars were this wonderful, magical place to meet people.
Yeah, no.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like I get I'm amused and sometimes even annoyed when people will say like, oh, don't tell nobody we met on a dating site, or you see someone's profile on a dating site saying, oh, I can't show my face because of my job. Well, if you went to a bar, no one from your job would say anything if you met someone.
Right.
So
yeah, but Mr. J, I think that may depend just on what site you're on with that. What you're looking for. Because if you have a kink or something like that, that may be something that you don't want people to see your face. If you have a certain lifestyle, that may be something that you don't want to share.
Fair enough. But I'm talking like even Tinder, like people still look at Tinder as just a hookup site, and it's not. I mean, any of these sites are what you make of them at this point. I can see maybe when they first came out, they had a certain stigma, but now, we had a whole YouTube thing about this a couple of months ago where we talked about like the different dating apps. But I think people gotta kind of change their perspective. They think that just because you're in a dating app that you're doing something clandestine. You're not.
Right.
No, you're not.
Right.
If there were no dating apps, you'd be at a bar.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
you'd still run into the same type of creeps.
And I think Phil said this on one of our lives. It gives you a better opportunity to screen. Whereas a bar, you may encounter one or two people, but online, you could, like you said, Phil, I think you said you watch TV and swipe.
Yeah,
Swipe, swipe. It does. It gives you a wider net to cast.
Yeah.
And
I also think that people who don't have their pictures up are like married as well. There's a good amount of them who are married, and they just don't want a friend of their wife to see or a friend of their husband to see.
Especially if they're gay and married.
Yeah.
And that happens often.
Renee, did I send you that story today about this woman who was watching gay porn and then she saw that her husband was starring?
No, I don't know if you did. I didn't see it yet. I was literally on the road and got back today.
I might have not. Well, okay. Which begs the question, Renee. Where did you meet Mr. Handsome? Was it on the dating site?
I met him on Tinder. And I've been open. I've said it to people, and I'm fine with it. It's so funny because I had his name saved as his name in Tinder, and then he happened to see that, and because I was showing him something, he was like, "Oh, you have Tinder in my name." He was like, "Well, you can take that off now, right?" I was like, "I guess so." He was like, "You don't know anybody else with my same name." He has a very uncommon name, so I was like, "Yeah, I can take it off." But
that's a smart way to remember how you met him, right?
Oh yeah, I do that.
What I do.
Where I meet people, I put where I meet them, because I'm gonna be like, well,
give me the knowledge, because I've missed Zaddy season. So whatever I should have been doing, I wasn't doing. I'm taking all the tips.
All of my significant relationships since my separation and divorce. Every significant relationship has been from online dating apps.
Yeah, mine too. I have to say. And now with the pandemic, especially, I mean, everybody's meeting everybody like online. It's just the new norm. It's the new norm. Yeah. The only thing for me that's a bit frustrating is, depending on the generation, because I usually date a bit younger than me, they may not always know how to socialize like we do, which are a little bit older. So if they're in their 20s, early 30s, that can be a little. So I vet them on that level and say, can you talk? Can you actually have a decent conversation? And I'm like, okay, cool. But you do tend to have that a little bit more, where folks that sometimes when you meet in real life, they're like, they don't know how to hold a conversation.
I try not to pick on millennials, but they make it easy.
So I have a question. How do you all feel about misspelled words?
Well,
is it a pattern or an error?
It's a pattern.
Yeah, no.
What word? Depends on the word.
Any of them.
I think if
it's a 5-syllable word, I'll let it go.
All right. I'm going to say, prior to living to Brazil, it really irked me. But it's crazy because since I've been here, a lot of Brazilians that I've come across, they don't know how to write correctly. And I'm talking to them, they're misspelling words. And I'm like, I'm not even from here and I know how to write that word, And so, I don't purposely correct them, but I'll say the word again and spell it correctly. And so it's just so common here that I'm just like, yeah, it is what it is. Doesn't mean that they're stupid.
Sometimes it means they're stupid.
Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does.
As we look out the window.
No, I'm with Renee, guys. I think it's changed a lot because I'm a bit of like a grammar nerd and stuff. I was an English major for university. I wrote for the school newspaper, so I'm nitpicky with stuff like that. But I kind of go with Renee because if you come down to Brazil, you realize, especially if you like to date black, which I do, unfortunately, it's just the reality of the country. Like, blacks don't have the same opportunities, and it doesn't mean that they're dumb. It's just they didn't have, like a word that really.
Oh, Nancy's here.
Nancy. Hi, Nancy. But you're in a different country and it's different, so you can see the difference and you have that understanding. But here in the States, I think especially if autocorrect can catch a lot of things or should catch a lot of things.
That's true. But you know what? Autocorrect has also messed me up a lot of times.
Well, it does that too. But you could tell autocorrect mistake versus just plain old no.
Right.
Yeah, I go by a per case basis because even in the US, I've dated people that I could tell, okay, they lived in an area that maybe they couldn't go to the best schools, but they were good people. Like they were intelligent, maybe they were street smart. So okay, I'm gonna judge everybody. Like if I see somebody that went to a decent high school, went to college, or they have like a managerial job and they're still spelling "you're here" Y-O-U-R, okay, here, then I'm gonna judge them a little bit different. But
I'm not even gonna lie. I've done that accent several times on posts where I'm like, "You're Y-O-R" when Y-U-R. Oh, I can't even spell right now. But see, Y-O, and I have a master's degree and postgraduate. But I do the grammar thing.
But it's not a pattern.
It's not a pattern. Yeah, it's not a pattern.
And that's my point.
But I know people in the States. I also know Americans in the States who are really CEOs of companies, and they just don't spell really well. They can't spell really well, and they're really, really smart. So,
dyslexia, there's like a bunch of stuff, man.
But that would come across. It would come across in conversation as well. So I think if you pair the two together and it's not there, then again, to each his own.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like, as opposed to like making judgment, I think just kind of being able to let go. All right, let me see how this flow. And I'm not, just. I can't think right now. Like
no, but I'm with you.
Let it go and see, and
as long as you're spelling the right words correctly for you, Breezy, that's what you need. Get them to spell the right words correctly for you. But it can be a little offsetting. It can be a little bit offsetting. But I'm with Renee, man. I try to go in the spirit of non-judgment because there's some really intelligent folks, man, who never had formal education and who might even be illiterate. They might be illiterate. They may not be able to write anything, and they'll be the smartest, most special people you'll meet. So I've had to learn that, to just humble myself and just be like, I gotta judge per case. Because there's some real dumbasses who can spell really good too.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was gonna say. There's some men out there who will treat you like a queen but can't spell. Maybe their grammar's wrong, but they'll treat you like a queen. And maybe they even have a great job where they're making good money. Who knows? I mean, there could be so many different things. And I think the bottom line is, how do you want to feel around this person? What is it that you want the person, in terms of how do you want them to treat you? And those are that's so much more important.
No,
is there a connection?
Exactly. And if they got good dick, can they spell the address where they are? If they can spell the address, you can get there.
That's a spell with a little bit of levity.
I'm just saying, that's important spelling. Like I was telling Breezy, he's got to spell the right things for you. If he can spell the right things, you're good.
Right.
Don't stress. Don't stress.
All right. So does anybody have any, we're going on an hour and a half. We extended this for Phil because, we got to have Phil in the house. Missing Phil.
I'm happy to see you guys. I missed you guys. It feels like it's been a long time. Did we do it in February?
It seemed like a long month. Yes, we did.
It does seem like a long time.
In March? I mean, yeah, because we're in April.
I believe we did.
I don't think I made it
forever.
I don't think I was there for March.
No, it was that couple that was there. I think it was just me, Renee, and Cinzia, and the two
Montavia. Yeah. Oh, we need to get them back again. I forgot.
Yes, we do.
We got to get them back
they're really cool. And guys, just a quick note. I'm not sure if I sent this article about the sacred sex because it seemed like new to me.
You did.
No, you sent it.
You did.
Really? Because I thought it was the one about the soul kissing that I sent. But whatever.
You did that too. You sent that as well.
Oh, goodness. Anyway.
You keep us educated.
Good. No, I just looked at it real quick while you guys were chatting. And I actually kind of like it. I didn't even, for me, it was like new stuff, but I really like this whole idea of uh, really caring for yourself, your body, your temple, because when it comes to sex, I have these two levels to myself. I have the level that's raunchy and just like I want to just do orgies and let's do nasty stuff. And then I have the other side of me, which is also about like, hey, we're going to have this very deep, powerful experience with each other. And that takes preparation. So I really like this article. I can't believe if I were me, I would have seen this article. I don't
You
remember
said
seeing
it.
it.
What
But I
are
like
your
this.
thoughts?
Prepare your body. This is
Phil, what are
nice.
your thoughts about putting essential oils on the genitals?
Love it. Love it. Yeah, I love essential oils and they should be everywhere. I'm
Have
into
you put
food.
it on the genitals, on your genital before?
I never have. Let me see. Oh, look at that.
I don't know if you
But I
want to
All right,
put
so
could.
do
peppermint.
that. Put some essential oils on your genital and tell us how that goes next month.
Why is it gonna burn? I hope it doesn't burn or anything. It burns?
Yes.
Oh
Is
gosh.
it
Yeah,
concentrated?
No, but there's some
yeah, it's
essential
concentrated. You need
oils
to
that
mix it.
don't burn very much. I used to use essential oils a lot. There's few that are almost like perfumey that shouldn't
Yeah,
burn that
well,
much.
they might not be the real ones. Laquita says Phil is hilarious. Most of them you have to mix in a carrier oil or they will burn the skin.
Oh, good Lord. Okay, then I'll pass on the essential oils, but I will do food. I think food is very sacred. There's a lot of good books on sacred eating and sacred food, and I love mixing food and sex. And I think that's a great way to connect on a sacred level is have that table set up on the bed and from the table move to the love making and you can eat from each other's mouth, eat from each other's what did they say there?
Genitals,
Their genitals,
stomach.
but they said what do they use here? The heart space and the genitals, yeah. From each other's privates, basically, just wash beforehand. So I love all of this stuff. I think it's deep, man. And when you have a connection with somebody like that, it can be really beautiful and really nice. So I like this article. I'm gonna read it more in depth later.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah, I
proud of
gotta say,
myself.
I didn't
I'm
love
proud of
it.
myself for sending it, even though I don't remember.
I didn't love it. It made a couple of points, but like I
Uh,
didn't feel like it was enough around consent. I felt that it was very esoteric.
Yeah, you'll have to go back and listen to Mr. J dissected it, so you'll have to go back and get that biology lesson.
Yes. So Priscilla says Phil is a freak. And Nancy says food and sex is pussy considered food.
Hey, Nancy,
it can be
eat your
eaten.
food.
It is eaten. By that logic, so is ass because they're both eaten. So
It's called tossing salad. Tossing a salad.
exactly, tossing the salad with some whipped cream or honey. Honey, oof.
Mhm.
Some
Yes.
Hershey's chocolate syrup. I'm giving up too much information about myself now.
I
But
know
yes,
Priscilla already says you're a freak, Phil. So, you know. Oh, man. So this was great. Thank you guys so much. This is always so much fun. I just want to thank everybody that came on, that was watching, that
Yes,
commented.
thank you guys.
Yeah, we love this. It makes it fun. We love having everyone a part of this. So I also do want to say, like I said earlier, I'm going to be in Virginia, May 13th, May 14th. Around that time, I'll be there for a month. And I'll be doing some workshops in person. Can't wait. But follow me here on YouTube. If you're not, be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can receive notification the next time we do a live. And follow me on Instagram at Prandhara Prem _Tantra, Facebook Renee Adolphe. I say my last name differently. Sometimes it's Adolphe, sometimes it's Adolphe. It depends on how I feel. But follow me there, and I'm on Patreon. Follow me on Patreon at Renee. What is my Patreon? Patreon at Prandhara Prem. So follow me there. I have tons of great tips and things like that on there. And Lakita, I will be in Northern Virginia Ashburn, I believe. Ashburn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But my workshops I tend to do is in Crystal City, Virginia, close to Arlington. And I'm going to be doing some in Maryland as well. Would anyone like to share anything?
Yeah, I do. So
Okay.
I found a new passion. I had it as a young teen. I always thought I could be a radio DJ, and I have now found that platform on Station Head. And I'm actually co-hosting a show in about 30 minutes tonight, where we will be talking about, is sex important in a relationship? But the cool thing is we throw in music as well. So kind of like a talk show. Yes, join. If you go to my Instagram and go to my bio, the link will take you straight to tonight's show.
Okay, awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, close to the DMV, Lakita. Go ahead, Jay.
I just want to say I am now Johnson & Johnson, fully vaccinated. I got another weekend, about another weekend, 3 days before it's fully kicked in. So I will be traveling. Thank God, finally. So I'm excited about, the world opening up a little bit for me now that, that I'm vaccinated. If anybody wants to stay in touch with me, you can follow me on IG at Mr. J Speaks. That's
awesome. You know what I'm going to say? I'm not even going to lie. I am kind of going back and forth about the vaccination. In the beginning, I was like, no, I'm not doing it. Then I was like, okay, yeah, maybe I'll do it. And I'm just kind of going back and forth. I'm hearing all these different things. And I just saw a post where people got vaccinated. And then I think it was in Michigan, 246 people who were fully vaccinated, still got COVID and 3 died. And I know those numbers are good because I'm sure, was it 5?
Well, what I'm saying is they don't say that you can't get COVID, right? It's not 100%. Neither is the flu shots or any of those.
Right.
It severely lessens the chance that you will die from it.
Right. And that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
Renee,
and I knew that.
I had the Pfizer. I've been vaccinated. My last shot was early February. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know, and I've heard all of that, and I know all of that. I'm still kind of, and it's crazy because being here in Brazil where the numbers are ridiculous, it's ridiculous. And I'm not gonna lie, in January I was on a tantric retreat. It was 45 of us, 35 of the people got it. I didn't. Does that mean I'll never get it? I'm not saying I'm not, but I was around them and 2 people I was with the entire time that had it. So I'm just kind of like, do I get it? Do I take it? Or do I just keep kind of doing what I'm doing, being healthy, working on my immune system and, doing my meditation, my self-care, or just, do I just continue doing that? And, So that's my thing.
Renee, yes. Why aren't we married?
I know.
I think the same way because I've never taken a flu vaccine in my life. I rarely, if ever, get sick. And I'm with you. I'm like half and half. I know that the school where I work at, they've made it the law now in Brazil where teachers can get the vaccine. They can move up in line. But it's only for 46 and older. So I guess I'm going to be in the second grouping of that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm with Renee because of that. It's like if it's not fixed, don't break it. Right. And I've been out. I've been to certain places. I try to eat healthy. I try to keep myself always active. And I know that that's half the battle when it comes to any disease. And then I'm afraid, even with the flu vaccine, I'm like, I don't want to take, I've lived 39 years of my life without taking a flu vaccine. I don't want to have the 1 year that I take it be the year that I get really sick with the flu. I've never had it in my life. Mm-hmm. So I'm like that. I'm on the level of I'll take it if it's an obligation. If I can't go back to work because of it, obviously I'm going to have to take it. But otherwise, I'm kind of like where Renee's at, just kind of not bad about.
And that was the thing for me. I took the flu shot once, and I got sick after that. Other than that, I had never taken it, never got the flu, So it's like, so that's, so it's like, yeah, I don't know.
See,
so
I'm the opposite. I've had the flu about 7 or 8 times in my life, and until I started taking the flu shot, when I started taking the flu shot is when I stopped getting the flu. So I can't remember the last time I had the flu because I've been taking it consistently every year after getting it so many freaking times. So you ultimately you gotta make a decision for you,
right?
Yeah, you gotta know your body.
Yeah.
Unless
you gotta
your
know your
decision
body.
puts other people in jeopardy, and then that's where I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? Because maybe your system is strong, but maybe the people that you love, that you're around, maybe theirs is not as strong as yours. Maybe they don't make the same kind of life decisions that you make.
But then if they're taking it, if they decide to take it, then that.
But what if they don't? What if they're, you know what I'm saying? It's just
but
like,
then that's their choice also. So I can't, if they have to decide, okay, if I'm elderly, if I'm at risk, do I take it? And so, and I agree with what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying, but me not taking it, I don't feel like me not taking the vaccine is not gonna, it can affect someone else in that sense. Because if I'm not taking it, I'm not gonna go around elderly people. I'm not gonna go around people who are at risk. I will stay where I'm at. So I'm not going to consciously put myself where I would risk somebody else. And now if there's another adult and they have a risky situation, then they need to decide for themselves, take the vaccine.
I'm
Now,
sorry.
if they say, I took the vaccine,
Hold on a sec.
you could,
Do y'all see Phil's shadow?
The what? Phil's shadow, yeah.
Yes, I've been watching them the whole time.
We're having this real deep conversation. Phil's like, yeah, let me just.
I'm thinking. No, this is my thinking pen because you guys are making some good points.
Oh, was that a pen?
Yeah.
Oh, you couldn't tell me that.
No, my
you was
toy
rolling
is
up
over
a
there.
clip.
Okay.
Yeah, it's projecting a shadow on your head, so it looks like it's
right.
Yeah,
but
I'm with Renee, like before vaccine, I was more what you're saying, Mr. J, because before the vaccine, there was no choice for anybody. So, okay, like stay away from old folks, stay away from, and I live by myself, but even then, I would limit who I would be around. But after the vaccine is out, man, and then it's like, hey, it's your choice. If you're old or your immune system's compromised and you don't want to take it, and I didn't take it, I can't be responsible for two people.
Exactly. That's exactly how I feel. I refuse to take responsibility if you get sick, if you decided not to take the vaccine. Again, I will make healthy choices. Like obviously, if my mom doesn't take the vaccine, and I don't take it, I'm going to be cautious there. I'm probably not going to see her, or I might see her in open space. We'll be outside with our mask on, whatever, but I can't be responsible for someone else who decides not to take the vaccine. So
I'm with you.
yeah, and taking the vaccine doesn't stop me from getting COVID. It doesn't stop anyone from getting it, right? It just makes the system less. So
Phil, how can people follow you? Because I'm sure you've intrigued. You have a new audience tonight. How can they follow you, Phil?
Oh, well, you can follow me at Phil in Brazil on YouTube. And guys, I'm so excited to announce that the Brazil Expat Journal is back. Okay, and now it's live Monday nights at 10 p.m. Brazil time. So whatever that is, Eastern Standard Time, probably 7 or 8. I don't know what time it is over there. And we talk about life in Brazil. We talk to interesting expats. Renee was a guest. I was actually listening to our old show, Renee. We got to get back because you were so good. You're so cute too. You're talking about dating actually in Brazil. And I want to have another episode on dating in Brazil. So we're going to invite her back. So now we're doing it live. And it's bi-weekly. So this Monday we didn't have it. Next Monday we will. I'm going to talk about the 10 things that I love about living in Brazil. But we also have guests. And it's sort of like this, guys. Very freewheeling, very fun. A lot of cool guests. So check it out. YouTube, Phil in Brazil. I'll see you guys there.
Yes. Be sure to subscribe to his YouTube, Phil in Brazil, and hit that notification bell so you can receive the messages when Phil is live or a video just released. And now
Renee,
if I go back, I'm gonna have more dating things to talk about in terms of dating.
definitely. Renee, you're like, no, I came back to this live and I'm just realizing how much you and I were just made for each other.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have someone who else.
She's taking.
I'm trying my hardest.
But
Cinzia,
But
Mr.
you know,
J,
I will always
I'm
love
trying,
you.
I'm trying
And
over
you will
here.
always have a part of my heart.
Don't tell Renee, but I'm trying really hard, okay, to get her back. Because I remember a long time ago, Renee never used to say, hit the little bell, subscribe, like, until a certain person got on her case about it. And now she's really good with it. So, more reason why the two of us, I mean, we're just made for each other. Guys, don't tell her. I'm trying my hardest, okay?
Look, when I came to Sao Paulo, I was trying to consummate our relationship.
Well, you smacked my ass a couple times. So I love that.
That was me flirting with you. Oh, all right, love you guys. This was so much fun. Anybody else want to share anything? No? All right. Well, this was so much
Breezy.
fun.
I love her. She does not want to share anything.
Keep them wanting more.
Breezy gonna be like me. Breezy gonna be like me. She gonna disappear, and then you gonna be like, "Wait, what happened?" And she gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I'm hemmed up. I got a boyfriend now."
Thank you, D Love.
D Love says y'all were great. Thank you. Thank you, D. Thank you, Nancy, Lakita,
Thank you, everybody.
Priscilla,
I love Nancy.
everybody that came on.
Everybody.
Thank you, Tony. All right, love you guys, Crucian. All right, so everybody, you guys have a great night.
Ciao,
Bye.
everybody.